The warship Crimson Fang floated in the darkness of deep space, far from any star or planet. Its hull was covered in old battle scars and patches of mismatched metal from countless repairs. The ship was ugly, but it worked. That was all that mattered to the crew who called it home. Captain Relo sat in his command chair, his reptilian eyes scanning the message that had just arrived on his personal screen. His green scales reflected the blue light from the display as he read the words again and again. A smile slowly spread across his face, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "Thrak," he called out to his second-in-command. "Come look at this." Thrak moved across the bridge with heavy steps. He was an insectoid, standing nearly 3 meters tall with 4 arms and a head covered in compound eyes. His mandibles clicked together as he leaned down to read the screen. "A planetary subjugation contract," Thrak said, his voice a low rumble. "From the Velix Mining Consortium. They want us to take a planet for them." "Not just any planet," Relos replied, his claws tapping the screen to show more details. "A small world on the outer edge of the Orion Arm, rich in heavy metals and rare minerals. The consortium wants it cleared of any resistance so they can begin extraction operations." Thrak studied the information carefully. His compound eyes processed data faster than most species could imagine. The planet is designated KX7741 in galactic records. No significant technological signatures detected. Pre-spaceflight civilization. Estimated population under 10 billion. "Easy prey," Relos said with satisfaction. "The payment they are offering is more than our last 5 contracts combined. This is the job that will let us all retire, old friend." The two had worked together for nearly 30 standard years. They had conquered dozens of worlds, crushed rebellions, and destroyed anyone foolish enough to stand against them. The Crimson Fang and its crew were among the most feared mercenaries in 3 sectors. But they were getting old. Relos felt the ache in his joints every morning. Thrak's exoskeleton had grown brittle in places. One more big score, and they could finally rest. Relos pressed the ship's communication button. "All hands, this is your captain. Report to the main gathering hall in 1 hour. We have a new contract to discuss." The crew of the Crimson Fang numbered 47 beings from 12 different species. There were more reptilians like Relos, insectoids like Thrak, and many others. Some had fur, some had scales, some had skin that changed color with their moods. They came from all corners of the galaxy, united by one simple truth. They were all killers for hire, and they were very good at their jobs. In the gathering hall, Relos stood before his crew and explained the mission. He showed them images of the target planet, a blue and green world with large oceans and scattered landmasses. It looked peaceful. It looked defenseless. "The natives appear to be a young species," Relos explained. "Our scans show primitive energy signatures, chemical combustion engines, basic radio communications. They have not even left their own planet yet." A 4-armed gunner named Vex raised his hand. "What about defenses? Weapons?" "Nothing that can threaten us," Thrak answered. "They have explosive projectile weapons, chemical-based. Their most powerful devices could barely scratch our shields." Laughter rippled through the crew. They had faced real threats before: plasma cannons, antimatter torpedoes, gravity weapons. The idea of fighting enemies with chemical explosives was almost funny. "The plan is simple," Relos continued. "We enter orbit, destroy any military installations from above, then land ground forces to secure key locations. The consortium wants prisoners for their mining operations, so we take as many alive as possible. Anyone who resists dies. Standard procedure." The crew nodded and muttered in agreement. This was familiar work. They had done it many times before. An old warrior named Cress, whose gray fur showed his age, spoke up. "Captain, something troubles me. Why is this planet not already claimed? If it is so rich in resources and so poorly defended, why has no one taken it before?" It was a fair question. Rellos had wondered the same thing when he first read the contract. "The planet is in an isolated region of space," he explained, "far from major trade routes. It was simply overlooked. The consortium only discovered it recently through long-range surveys." Crest did not look satisfied, but he said nothing more. He had learned long ago that questioning captains too much was bad for one's health. Over the next several days, the Crimson Fang prepared for the mission. Weapons were checked and loaded. Landing craft were fueled and ready. Ground troops practiced their tactics in the ship's training rooms. Everything was proceeding smoothly. Relus spent his evenings in his private quarters, studying the target planet in greater detail. The natives called their world by many names in their many languages, but the most common one translated roughly to Earth or Dirt, a humble name for a humble world. He watched recordings of their radio and video transmissions that the ship's sensors had captured. The natives were strange-looking creatures, soft, with no natural armor or weapons. They had no claws, no fangs, no venom. How they had survived long enough to build cities was a mystery to him. But it did not matter. Soon, those cities would burn, and the survivors would work in mines until they dropped dead. Such was the fate of weak species in a galaxy that rewarded only strength. On the final night before departure, Rilo shared a drink with Thrak in the ship's small bar. The liquid burned pleasantly as it went down. "After this job," Rilo said, "I'm going to buy a small moon somewhere quiet. Maybe raise some livestock. Live out my remaining years in peace." Thrak's mandibles clicked in what passed for a laugh among his kind. "You would be bored within a month. You're a warrior, old friend. It is all you know." "Perhaps," Rallos admitted, "but I would like the chance to find out." They raised their glasses to the future, a future they believed was guaranteed. A simple mission against a primitive world. What could possibly go wrong? The next morning, the Crimson Fang engaged its hyperspace engines and vanished from normal space in a flash of blue light. The ship and its crew of 47 killers hurtled toward a small blue planet that they believed would be their easiest conquest yet. They had no idea that they were flying toward the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever known. They had no idea that the primitive world they planned to conquer had already broken one of the greatest empires in galactic history. They had no idea that they were about to learn why every intelligent species in the known universe had learned one simple rule. Never go to Earth. Never threaten Earth. Never even look at Earth too closely. The humans did not like visitors. The Crimson Fang dropped out of hyperspace with a violent shudder. Blue light faded from the viewports as normal space returned around the ship. Before them hung their target, a beautiful blue and green world. Wrapped in white clouds, Captain Relos leaned forward in his command chair, studying the planet with hungry eyes. "Status report." "All systems normal," Thrak replied from his station. "We have arrived at the designated coordinates. Planet KX-7741 is directly ahead. Distance approximately 400,000 kilometers. Begin scanning for military targets," Rillos ordered. "I want a full map of their defensive positions within the hour." The bridge crew worked quickly. Sensors hummed as they reached out toward the planet below. Data began flowing across multiple screens, population centers, energy signatures, communication networks. Everything was exactly as they had expected. A primitive world with primitive technology. But then something strange happened. "Captain," one of the sensor operators said, his voice uncertain, "I am detecting unusual energy readings on the planet's surface." Rellos turned to look at the operator, a young reptilian named Setek. What kind of readings? I do not know, sir. They do not match anything in our database. The power levels they are very high. Much higher than this species should be capable of producing. Before Relos could respond, the ship's communication array exploded with noise. Every speaker on the bridge crackled to life. Every screen flickered and changed. A voice spoke, a female voice, speaking perfect galactic standard with no accent at all. Unidentified vessels, you have entered protected space. This planet is designated Earth, homeworld of humanity. You are in violation of Galactic Council Directive 7 Alpha. Power down your weapons and state your intentions. You have 60 seconds to comply. Silence fell over the bridge. Relos felt his blood turn cold. Earth? This planet was Earth? Thrak, he said slowly. Check the Galactic Registry. Now. Thrak's 4 hands moved across his console with desperate speed. His compound eyes scanned page after page of data. When he found what he was looking for, he stopped moving entirely. For a long moment, he said nothing. Captain, Thrak finally said, there has been a terrible mistake. This planet is not KX7741. It is listed as KX7741 in old records, but it has another designation. A much more important designation. Say it. Earth. Earth Sol 3, homeworld of Homo sapiens. Thrak paused, and when he spoke again, his voice was barely a whisper. The humans. The words spread through the bridge like poison. Crew members stopped their work. Some began to shake. One young officer made a sound like he was about to be sick. Ralus had heard stories about humans. Every spacefaring species had heard stories about humans. They were the monsters that parents used to frighten children. They were the reason why certain regions of space were marked with warning beacons that simply said, "Stay away." How is this possible? Relos demanded. How did we not know? Thrak checked the ship's navigation database with trembling hands. Our records are outdated. The last update was over 15 years ago. Earth's restricted status was added to galactic registries 12 years ago. We never received the update. 15 years. They had been flying with old maps for 15 years, and it had finally caught up with them in the worst possible way. Captain, Sedek said, his voice shaking, I am detecting a ship approaching our position. It appeared out of nowhere. There was no hyperspace signature, no warning. It is just there. Relus looked at the tactical display and felt his heart stop beating for a moment. A ship had indeed appeared beside them, perhaps 10 kilometers away. It was small, much smaller than the Crimson Fang. Its hull was completely black, covered in strange geometric patterns that seemed to move and shift like living things. Scan it, Rallos ordered. I cannot, Sedek replied. Our sensors are being reflected back at us. The ship's hull absorbs everything we send at it. But Captain, I am getting some readings from its weapon systems. He paused, checking his instruments again and again, as if hoping he had made an error. Sir, each weapon on that ship has a power output greater than our entire reactor core. One ship, one small ship. And it has enough firepower to destroy a fleet. The female voice spoke again, patient and calm. Unidentified vessels, you now have 30 seconds to comply. This is your final warning. Open a channel, Rallo said quickly. Open a channel now. Channel open, sir. Rallo stood from his chair and tried to make his voice steady. This is Captain Relos of the mercenary vessel Crimson Fang. We apologize for the intrusion. There has been a navigation error. We did not know this was Earth. We did not know this space was protected. A pause. Then the voice returned, slightly warmer this time. Captain Relos, please hold. A representative will speak with you shortly. The bridge was silent, except for the soft hum of machinery. Relos looked at his crew and saw fear in every face. These were hardened killers, beings who had faced death 100 times without flinching. Now they looked like frightened children. "Thrak," Rello said quietly, "tell me about the humans. Tell me everything." Thrak pulled up historical files on his console. 60 standard years ago, a species called the Dominion discovered Earth. The Dominion was one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy at that time. They controlled over 200 star systems. Their fleet numbered in the thousands. They decided to enslave Earth and use the humans as labor. What happened? The Dominion no longer exists. Relos felt a chill run down his spine. An empire of 200 star systems. Gone? Gone. The humans destroyed them completely. Not defeated, destroyed. There are no more Dominion. Their homeworld is now an asteroid field. The humans did that. They broke an entire empire because that empire made the mistake of attacking their planet. The main view screen flickered and a new image appeared. 2 humans stood looking at the camera. One was a young woman with black hair and sharp eyes. She wore a simple gray uniform with a small badge on her chest. The other was an older man with gray hair and a gentle smile that somehow made Relos more frightened than any threat ever had. "Good day, Captain Relos," the older man said pleasantly. "I am Director Beek Jung-ho of Earth's External Relations Department. The young lady beside me is Lieutenant Han Soman of our Defense Patrol. We understand there may have been some confusion regarding your navigation. These things happen in space. The galaxy is very large, and mistakes are easy to make." Raluz tried to find his voice. "Director Beek, I assure you, we meant no harm. We received a contract to subjugate a planet designated KX7741. We did not know it was Earth. Our databases were outdated. Please believe me." Director Beek nodded thoughtfully. "I believe you, Captain. Your ship systems are quite old, and I can see that your registry files have not been updated in many years. This was clearly an accident." Relief flooded through Relos. "Then, we may leave?" "Of course," Director Beek said with that same gentle smile. "You may leave whenever you wish. But before you go, I think it would be educational for you and your crew to understand exactly where you are and what kind of mistake you almost made. Lieutenant Han will provide you with some information. Please review it carefully. We would hate for any similar misunderstandings to occur in the future." The screen flickered again, and files began downloading directly into the Crimson Fang's computer system. Rallos had no idea how they were doing it. His ship's firewalls should have been impenetrable. But then again, the humans had destroyed a galactic empire. Hacking a single mercenary ship was probably very easy for them. "Review the files, Captain," Director Beek said. "Then make your decision. We will be watching." The screen went dark, and Relos was left staring at the black hull of the human ship, wondering how badly he had underestimated his supposed prey. The files downloaded into the Crimson Fang's computer system filled thousands of pages. Captain Relos ordered his entire crew to stop what they were doing and read. For hours, the ship hung motionless in space while 47 mercenaries learned the truth about the planet they had planned to conquer. Relos read in his private quarters, his reptilian eyes moving across the screen with growing horror. The history of humanity's contact with the galaxy was not a story of peaceful discovery. It was a story of blood, fire, and impossible survival. 60 years ago, Earth had been a divided world. The humans fought among themselves constantly, splitting into nations and factions that argued over resources and ideas. They had barely begun exploring their own solar system. Their fastest ships took months to reach their nearest planets. By galactic standards, they were infants. The Dominion had seen them as easy prey. The first Dominion fleet arrived without warning. 100 warships appeared in Earth's sky on a spring morning. The Dominion commander broadcast a simple message to the planet: surrender immediately or face destruction. The humans would become slaves. Their world would become a mining colony, and any resistance would be met with death. The humans said no. Relos paused his reading, amazed by this simple fact. A primitive species with no space fleet, no planetary shields, no weapons capable of threatening the warships above their heads, and they had said no. It was either the bravest or the stupidest thing he had ever heard. The Dominion responded by destroying several major cities from orbit. Millions died in seconds. The commander expected this demonstration would break the human spirit and force their surrender. Instead, it united them. For the first time in their history, every nation on Earth stopped fighting each other. Old enemies became allies overnight. Every factory, every laboratory, every resource on the planet was turned toward one single goal: survival. The humans captured a crashed Dominion scout ship within the first week. Within a month, their scientists understood how its engines worked. Within a year, they had built their own versions that were somehow faster and more efficient than the Dominion originals. Relos read this part 3 times, unable to believe it. The Dominion had spent centuries developing their technology. The humans had matched it in 12 months. How was that possible? The files explained. Humans, it turned out, had a unique ability among intelligent species. They could look at something, understand how it worked, and then make it better. They called it reverse engineering. Other species could copy technology, but humans could improve it almost instantly. Their minds worked differently than other beings. They saw connections and possibilities that others missed. The first human warship launched 3 years after the invasion began. It was crewed by galactic standards, welded together from stolen technology and human innovation. But it worked, and it was only the beginning. Commander Park Do-hyun led Earth's first space fleet. He was a former military officer from a small country that the humans called Korea. Before the invasion, he had commanded ground troops. Now he commanded starships, and he proved to be terrifyingly good at it. The Dominion expected the humans to fight like other primitive species, charging blindly, dying uselessly. Instead, Park Do-hyun used tactics that the Dominion had never seen before. He attacked supply lines instead of fleets. He used small ships to draw enemy forces into traps. He turned the Dominion's own weapons against them by hacking their computer systems. In 5 years, Earth's fleet had grown from 1 ship to 100. In 7 years, they had pushed the Dominion out of their solar system entirely. In 10 years, they had followed the Dominion back to their own territory and begun systematically destroying them. Relos found a recording in the files, a transmission from Park Do-hyun to the Dominion High Council near the end of the war. "You came to our world uninvited," Park Do-hyun said in the recording. His voice was calm and cold. "You killed our people. You burned our cities. You thought we would break. You were wrong. Now we are coming for you. Not to conquer, not to enslave, simply to make sure you never threaten anyone ever again. This is not revenge. This is prevention." The Dominion homeworld was destroyed 6 months later. Every ship, every station, every colony. The humans tracked down and eliminated every piece of the Dominion that remained. When they were finished, there was nothing left but dust and memory. Other species watched in terror. They had never seen anything like it. Empires rose and fell all the time in the galaxy, but they usually fell slowly over centuries. The humans had destroyed the Dominion in a single decade, and they had done it starting from almost nothing. Admiral Yoon Ji-soo became famous next. She was another Korean officer, one of Park Do-hyun's students. After the Dominion War, she redesigned Earth's entire defense strategy. She created new fleet formations, new weapons, new tactics. Under her leadership, Earth built a defensive network so powerful that experts claimed it could stop any attack from any direction. Then there was Dr. Kang Minho. He was a scientist, not a soldier, but his contributions were perhaps the most frightening of all. He developed biological weapons that could target specific species while leaving others completely unharmed. He created medical technology that could heal almost any wound. He found ways to extend human lifespans far beyond their natural limits. The galaxy realized something terrible. Humans were not just dangerous in war. They were dangerous in peace. Every year, their technology advanced faster. Every year, the gap between human capability and everyone else grew wider. The Galactic Council met in emergency session. For the first time in its history, every member species agreed on something. They declared Earth a protected zone. No one was allowed to approach within 100 light years without human permission. Trade with Earth was forbidden. Communication with Earth was forbidden. Any species that violated these rules would be expelled from the Council and left to face human justice alone. It was not a punishment for the humans. It was protection for everyone else. Relos finished reading and sat in silence for a long time. Outside his window, the human patrol ship still hung in space, watching them with unknown sensors. That single small ship could destroy his entire crew without effort. A knock came at his door. Thrak entered without waiting for permission. His compound eyes looked tired, and his mandibles hung loose. "You have finished reading," Relos said. It was not a question. Yes. Thrak lowered himself into a chair designed for beings half his size. "Captain, I have served with you for 30 years. I have never been afraid before today. Neither have I. What do we do?" Relos thought about the contract waiting for them, the money they had been promised, the retirement he had dreamed of. Then he thought about Park Do-yoon and Yoon, Jisoo and Kang Minho. He thought about a species that had gone from chemical rockets to star-killing weapons in 10 years. He thought about what those people would do to anyone stupid enough to threaten their world. "We leave," Relos said finally. "We leave, and we never come back, and we thank whatever gods we worship that they gave us the chance to make that choice." Thrak nodded slowly. "The crew will agree. They have read the files. Some of them are crying. I did not know that Vex could cry." Despite everything, Relos almost laughed. Vex was their toughest gunner, a being who had killed hundreds without blinking. And now he was weeping because he had learned the truth about humans. "Prepare the ship for departure," Relos ordered. "I will inform the humans that we are leaving." He walked back to the bridge, ready to speak with Director Baek Junho again. Ready to apologize and beg and do whatever it took to escape this place alive. Ready to accept that some prey was simply too dangerous to hunt. The blue planet hung outside the viewport, beautiful and peaceful and utterly deadly. Earth, homeworld of the humans. The species that had taught the galaxy the true meaning of fear. The journey to the edge of the solar system took 3 days. 3 days of silence. 3 days of fear. 3 days of following a small black ship that could destroy them with a single thought. Captain Relos spent most of that time in his quarters, thinking about everything that had happened. His crew moved through the ship like ghosts, speaking only when necessary, avoiding each other's eyes. The usual noise of the Crimson Fang, the arguments, the laughter, the gambling games had vanished completely. Thrak visited him on the second day. The old insectoid looked tired in a way that had nothing to do with physical exhaustion. "I have been reviewing the files the humans gave us," Thrak said, sitting heavily in a chair. "The new database updates. Captain, do you know how many restricted zones there are in the galaxy now?" "How many?" "Over 200. And Earth is not even the most dangerous one. There are regions where entire star systems have been destroyed. Zones where physics itself does not work properly anymore. Places where ships go in and never come out. Thrak's mandibles clicked nervously. The galaxy is not what I thought it was. We had been playing games while giants moved around us. Relos understood the feeling. For 30 years, he had thought himself a powerful being, a captain, a conqueror, a force to be respected. Now he understood the truth. He was an insect, a tiny creature crawling across a floor, hoping the creatures above him did not decide to step down. What do we do when we leave this system? Thrak asked. Relos had been asking himself the same question. We deliver the message to the Velix Consortium. We give them every file the humans shared with us. We make them understand that their plan was suicide. And after that, I do not know. Relos looked out his window at the stars. I think perhaps I'm finished with this work. I think perhaps we all are. On the third day, the human patrol ship stopped at the very edge of the solar system. A boundary marker floated in space, a simple beacon broadcasting a message in every known language. You are leaving Earth-protected space. Safe travels. The view screen activated one final time. Lieutenant Han Soman appeared alone. Director Beak was gone, but the young woman's presence was somehow just as intimidating. Captain Relos, she said, you have reached the boundary of our territory. Beyond this point, you are free to travel wherever you wish. Before you go, I have a few final words. Relos straightened in his chair. I am listening. When you return to normal space, you will find that rumors of your arrival here have already spread. News travels fast in the galaxy, especially news about Earth. Some beings will treat you differently because you survived an encounter with us. Some will respect you. Some will fear you. Some will want to know everything you learned. She paused, her dark eyes steady. Tell them the truth. Tell them everything. We want the galaxy to know who we are and what we can do. Every species that learns about us is a species that will think twice before making the same mistake the Dominion made. I understand, Relos said. Good. Lieutenant Han's expression softened slightly. Captain, I want you to know something. We tracked your ship from the moment you entered hyperspace, heading toward our system. We knew exactly who you were, what you planned, and when you would arrive. We had weapons locked onto your ship before you even dropped out of hyperspace. Relos felt a chill run through him. You knew? The entire time? We always know. We monitor every ship within 100 light-years of our system. We analyze every contract, every communication, every movement. Nothing approaches Earth without our knowledge. She tilted her head slightly. We let you get close because we wanted to. We wanted to see what kind of beings you were. We wanted to give you a chance to make the right choice. And if we had made the wrong choice, if we had attacked, you would have died. Quickly, painlessly. We are not cruel, Captain. But we are thorough. She said this without pride or threat, simply stating a fact, the way one might comment on the weather. Relos thought about his original plan. Enter orbit, destroy military targets, land ground forces. If they had tried that, how long would they have lasted? Seconds? Less than seconds? His entire crew, 47 souls, would have been erased from existence before they even understood what was happening. Thank you, he said, meaning it. Thank you for giving us the chance to leave. Lieutenant Han nodded. You are welcome. Now, one final piece of advice. You mentioned that someone hired you, the Velix Mining Consortium. We have already begun investigating them. Begun investigating them. If they knew the truth about KX-7741 and sent you anyway, they were using you as disposable tools. They were willing to sacrifice your lives for profit. Anger stirred in Relis's chest. He had considered this possibility, but hearing it spoken aloud made it real. If I were you, Lieutenant Han continued. I would be very careful about who I trust in the future. And I would remember who tried to send me to my death. The view screen flickered, and a new face appeared. It was a young human male, maybe 20 standard years old, sitting at a computer terminal. He waved cheerfully at the camera. Hi there. I'm Technician Choi Yuna's assistant. She asked me to let you know that we finished uploading everything to your ship. New star maps, restricted zone listings, species profiles, the works. Your databases are now more current than most military fleets. Consider it a going-away present. Despite everything, Rillos almost smiled. The contrast between the terrifying Lieutenant Han and this friendly young human was jarring. Please thank Technician Choi for us. Will do. Oh, and one more thing. The young man's expression grew slightly more serious. We added something special to your files. A direct communication frequency for Earth external relations. If you ever find yourself in trouble, real trouble, the kind where nobody else can help, you can use that frequency to contact us. Why would you offer such a thing? Because you learned something today. You learned that humans don't have to be enemies. We gave you information instead of death. We gave you warnings instead of weapons fire. That matters to us. The young man shrugged. Besides, you seem like decent beings. Misguided, maybe, but not evil. We like to keep track of the ones who aren't evil. There aren't enough of them in the galaxy. The view screen switched back to Lieutenant Han. That will be all, Captain Rillos. Engage your hyperspace drives whenever you are ready. Safe travels. Lieutenant Han, Rillos said quickly, before the connection ended. May I ask you one question? You may. The humans we read about Commander Park Do-yun, Admiral Yoon Jae-soo, Dr. Kang Min-ho, are they still alive? Lieutenant Han was silent for a moment. Then she smiled a real smile, the first genuine emotion Rillos had seen from her. They are. They are all over 100 years old now, but humans have learned to live much longer than we used to. Commander Park retired 20 years ago. He grows vegetables on a small farm outside the city of Bizen. Admiral Yoon teaches strategy in our military academy. Dr. Kang still runs his laboratory, though he says he is planning to retire soon. The people who destroyed an empire are still alive, Rillos said softly. Still watching. Still ready, Lieutenant Han confirmed. If Earth is ever threatened again, they will return. They have said so publicly. The three of them together could coordinate a defensive campaign that would make the Dominion War look simple. Her smile faded. Be grateful you will never see them in action, Captain. I hope no one ever does again. The connection ended. The human patrol ship turned and began moving back toward Earth, leaving the Crimson Fang alone at the edge of the solar system. Rillos sat in his chair for a long time, looking at the tiny blue dot that was Earth, a small planet, an ordinary star. And yet, behind that peaceful appearance lay the most terrifying military force the galaxy had ever known. Captain, Thrax said gently, our hyperspace drives are charged. Where do we go? Rillos thought about his options. He could return to the Velix Consortium with the human message. He could flee to the far edge of the galaxy and hope to be forgotten. He could find another contract, another war, another planet to conquer. But none of those options appealed to him anymore. Something had changed in him during these 3 days. He had looked into the face of true power and survived. It had made everything else seem small and meaningless. Set a course for the consortium headquarters, he said finally. We will deliver the human message. We will collect whatever payment we can. And then? Rillos smiled tiredly. And then I think I'm going to buy that small moon I dreamed about. Far from Earth. Far from wars. Far from any trouble at all. Thrax's mandibles clicked in approval. That sounds like wisdom, old friend. The Crimson Fang's hyperspace engines hummed to life. Blue light filled the bridge as the ship prepared to jump. Behind them, Earth continued its quiet orbit around an ordinary yellow star. A small blue marble that asked for nothing but peace and built weapons of gods to guarantee it. In his final moments before the jump, Rillos made a silent promise. He would never forget what he had learned here. He would tell everyone who would listen about the humans and their terrible power. And he would make very, very sure that he never gave them a reason to notice him again. The Crimson Fang vanished into hyperspace, leaving Earth behind. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, full of predators and prey. But there was one world that was neither one world that had taught itself to be something else entirely. Captain Rillos stood on the bridge of the Crimson Fang and prepared to face the humans. His crew watched him in silence, their fear visible on every face. These were beings who had fought wars across the stars. But now they looked like lost children waiting for a parent to save them. "Open a channel to the human ship," Rillos ordered. The view screen flickered to life. Director Baek Junho appeared again, his gentle smile unchanged. Beside him, Lieutenant Han So-min stood with her hands clasped behind her back, her expression calm and watchful. "Captain Rillos," Director Baek said pleasantly, "I trust you found our historical files educational?" "We did." Rillos forced himself to stand straight and speak clearly. His pride demanded at least that much. "Director, I wish to formally apologize for our intrusion into your space. We have decided to leave immediately. We want no conflict with Earth or its people." "A wise decision," Director Baek replied. "However, before you go, we have some matters to discuss." Rillos felt his stomach drop. "Matters? Please do not worry. This is not a threat." Director Baek's tone remained warm and friendly. "We simply want to understand how this situation occurred. You mentioned a contract. Someone hired you to attack our planet. We would very much like to know who." Lieutenant Han So-min stepped forward. "We've already accessed your ship's communication logs and contract database. We know the Velix Mining Consortium issued your orders. We know they paid you a significant amount of money. What we want to know is whether they understood that KX-7741 was Earth." Rillos blinked in surprise. They had access to his ship's secure databases? When? How? He had not even noticed anything unusual. I do not know," he admitted. "They provided coordinates and survey data. They described the planet as primitive and undefended. They said nothing about humans. Interesting." Lieutenant Han turned to Director Baek and spoke quietly. "Either the consortium has dangerously outdated records, or they deliberately sent these mercenaries here, knowing what would happen." "Both possibilities concern me," Director Baek agreed. He looked back at Rillos. "Captain, we believe you. Your ship's logs confirm that your navigation databases are severely outdated, and your crew's reactions to our planet clearly show genuine surprise. You are not our enemy. You are simply unlucky." Relief washed through Rillos like cool water. "Thank you for understanding." However, Director Baek continued, and the relief immediately vanished. "We cannot simply let you leave without ensuring that this misunderstanding does not repeat itself. Lieutenant Han will escort your ship to the edge of our system. During the journey, we will upload new database files to your computer, free of charge. These files will contain current information about protected zones, restricted species, and other important galactic designations." "That is very generous," Rillos said carefully. "We also have a request," Director Baek said. "When you return to the Velix Mining Consortium, we would like you to deliver a message from us." "What message?" Director Baek's smile did not change, but something in his eyes grew colder. "Tell them that Earth is aware of their interest in our system. Tell them that we have added their name to a list. Tell them that if any ship connected to their organization approaches our space again, we will consider it an act of war. And tell them what happens to species that go to war with humanity." The words hung in the air like poison. Rilos remembered the files he had read. The images of the Dominion homeworld reduced to rubble. The records of entire fleets vanishing in single battles. "I will tell them," he said. "Excellent." The warmth returned to Director Beak's expression. "Now, before you go, Lieutenant Han has prepared something special for your crew. Consider it a gift, a reminder of what you encountered today." Lieutenant Han touched a control panel, and new images appeared on the view screen. They showed human military hardware, not from 60 years ago, but from the present day. Warships the size of small moons. Weapons that could tear holes in the fabric of space itself. Defense platforms orbiting Earth in numbers too large to count. "This is what we have now," Lieutenant Han said. 60 years of development since the Dominion War. 60 years of improvement. The weapons we used against the Dominion are museum pieces to us now. They are toys compared to what we have built since. She showed them a recording of a weapons test. A single beam fired from an orbital platform struck a distant asteroid. The asteroid did not explode. It simply ceased to exist, converted instantly into energy. "We call that a cascade projector," she explained. Dr. Kang Minho invented it 15 years ago. It destabilizes molecular bonds at the quantum level. Nothing survives it. Nothing can block it. We have thousands of them. The recording changed to show something else, a fleet of human ships moving through space in perfect formation. But these were not like any ships Rilos had ever seen. They moved without visible engines. They changed direction instantly, ignoring the laws of physics. Some of them flickered in and out of visibility like ghosts. "Our current generation of warships," Lieutenant Han said. "They use technology that most species will not develop for another 1,000 years. They are faster, stronger, and more numerous than anything else in the galaxy." She paused the recording and looked directly at the camera. "You plan to conquer us, Captain. You plan to burn our cities and enslave our people. I want you to understand what you would have faced." The screen showed one final image, Earth itself, wrapped in a network of defensive satellites and orbital stations so dense that they formed a visible shell around the planet. The message was clear. Earth was not just defended. Earth was untouchable. "We do not want war," Director Beak said softly. "We have seen enough war to last forever. All we want is to be left alone. But if anyone forces our hand, they will learn why the Dominion no longer exists. They will learn why even the Galactic Council fears us. They will learn that humans do not know how to surrender." He leaned forward slightly. "Do you understand, Captain Rilos?" "I understand," Rilos whispered. "Good." Director Beak smiled again, warm and friendly as before. "Then please follow Lieutenant Han's ship to the edge of our system. Have a safe journey home. And Captain, update your databases more often. The galaxy changes quickly these days." The view screen went dark. Outside, the small black human ship began moving slowly away from the Crimson Fang, indicating that they should follow. Rilos turned to his crew. "Plot a course to follow the human vessel. No weapons. No aggressive movements. We do exactly as they say until we are out of this system." No one argued. No one even spoke. They simply obeyed, grateful to be alive. As the Crimson Fang began moving, Thrak walked to stand beside his captain. "I have been a soldier for 50 years, he said quietly. "I have fought in dozens of wars. I thought I knew what strength looked like." "So did I," Rilos replied. "We were wrong. Those creatures, those soft little beings with no claws or armor, they're the most dangerous things I've ever encountered. And they were kind to us. They could have destroyed us without effort, and instead, They gave us a warning and a gift. Relos nodded slowly. That is what frightens me most. They did not need to show us their weapons. They did not need to educate us about their history. They did it because they chose to. They let us live because they decided we were not worth killing. The human patrol ship glided silently ahead of them, leading them towards safety. Behind them, Earth shrank slowly into the distance. A small blue jewel surrounded by an invisible wall of unimaginable power. Somewhere in the galaxy, the Velix mining consortium was waiting for news of their conquest. They would not receive the news they expected. They would receive a warning instead. A warning from the most dangerous species in the known universe. And Relos would be the one to deliver it.